The massive Imperial ship emerged from hyperspace near Jupiter's orbit, its dark metal hull reflecting the distant sunlight. Inside the Earth's main command center, Admiral James Walker watched the alien vessels approach on the giant screen. His weathered face remained calm, but his fingers drummed steadily on the steel table. "They're exactly where we expected them to be," his second-in-command, Captain Rogers, said quietly. "Shall we act surprised, sir?" Walker shook his head. "No. Let them make the first move. We've been watching them expand their borders for the past 50 years. It was only a matter of time before they found us." The Imperial ship, nearly the size of a small moon, moved slowly through the solar system. Earth's hidden defense systems tracked its every movement, but remained dormant. To any outside observer, Earth appeared to be a moderately advanced civilization, just beginning to explore its own solar system. The first transmission from the Imperial ship came 3 hours later. The giant screen flickered, revealing a tall, aristocratic figure dressed in ornate robes. "I am Lord Marcus, representative of the Eternal Galactic Empire. Your species has been granted the honor of joining our glorious realm." Walker stepped forward, his simple blue uniform a stark contrast to the alien's elaborate attire. "Welcome to Earth's solar system, Lord Marcus. I am Admiral Walker, representing the United Earth Council. We're interested in peaceful dialogue and potential trade relations." Lord Marcus's expression shifted to one of barely concealed disdain. "Perhaps I wasn't clear. Admiral, this is not a negotiation. The Empire does not trade with primitive species. We rule them. Your technology level is barely at Class 3, while the Empire stands at Class 12. Resistance would be futile and embarrassingly brief." The Admiral's team exchanged knowing looks. Earth had carefully maintained its appearance of being a Class 3 civilization, while in reality they had surpassed what the Empire would classify as Class 15 decades ago. "Lord Marcus," Walker spoke calmly, "I urge you to reconsider. We're willing to establish diplomatic relations, cultural exchange programs, and mutually beneficial trade agreements. War is unnecessary." The Imperial Lord laughed, the sound echoing through the command center. "War? There won't be a war, Admiral. Either you submit to Imperial rule within the next 24 hours, or we will demonstrate our power by destroying your Mars colonies." His image leaned forward. "We've observed your pitiful attempts at colonization. Consider this your only warning." Walker's expression hardened. "Then let me give you our only warning, Lord Marcus. If you choose the path of aggression, you will face consequences beyond your imagination. The Empire has never encountered humans in war. You don't understand what you're dealing with." "Empty threats from a primitive species," Lord Marcus sneered. "You have 24 hours. Choose wisely." The transmission ended abruptly. Captain Rogers turned to Walker. "They took the bait, sir. They didn't even scan past our outer defense grid." "Arrogance," Walker said, standing up. "The same arrogance that has let them conquer 1,000 worlds. They see what they expect to see. A young species just reaching for the stars." He walked to the window, looking up at the night sky. "Send word to the Mars Defense Command. Operation Paper Tiger is now active." "Yes, sir." "And the civilian population. Already evacuated 6 months ago. Those colonies they're targeting are automated decoys." Walker turned to face the command center staff. "Ladies and gentlemen, humanity has spent the last century preparing for this moment. We knew they were coming. We watched them conquer peaceful worlds. We learned their tactics, their technology, their weaknesses." He pressed a button, and a holographic map of the solar system appeared. "They think they're about to make an example of a primitive species." A small smile crossed his face. "Instead, they're about to learn why humanity's warning should have been taken seriously." As the Earth's hidden defenses powered up across the solar system, Admiral Walker sent one final message to all human forces. The Empire chose war. Now let's show them why that was a mistake they'll never forget. In high orbit, the Imperial ship's sensors remained blind to the true extent of Earth's power, as humanity prepared to teach the Empire its first lesson in humility. Exactly 24 hours after their ultimatum, the Imperial fleet arrived. 50 massive warships dropped out of hyperspace near Mars, their weapons already charged. Lord Marcus stood on his command ship's bridge, watching the red planet grow larger on the main screen. "My lord," his weapons officer called out, "the humans have made no attempt to evacuate their Mars colonies. Their orbital satellites show normal activity." Marcus smiled coldly. "As expected from primitives. They probably think we're bluffing." He raised his hand. "Target their largest colony dome. Let's show them the price of defiance." The Imperial fleet's forward batteries glowed with energy. Below them, the Mars colonies lay silent and still, their dome structures gleaming under the distant sunlight. As the massive energy beams struck the first dome, Marcus expected to see it shatter instantly. Instead, the beam disappeared into what looked like rippling air. "Impossible." Marcus stumbled forward. "Report." Before his crew could respond, the colony domes began to change. Their surfaces rippled and transformed, revealing massive weapon platforms that had been perfectly disguised. The surrounding Martian surface shifted too, as thousands of hidden defense turrets emerged from the red sand. In the Earth Command Center, Admiral Walker watched the scene unfold. "Operation Paper Tiger is successful," Captain Rogers reported. "All Mars defense grid systems are online. The Imperial fleet is completely surrounded." Walker nodded. "Send them our message." On the Imperial command ship, Lord Marcus received the transmission. Admiral Walker's calm face appeared on his screen. "We warned you to run," the human said simply. "The Mars colonies were evacuated months ago. What you're seeing now is just a small demonstration of what humanity can do." Before Marcus could respond, the Mars defense grid opened fire. Beams of pure quantum energy sliced through Imperial shields like they didn't exist. The Empire's most advanced defensive technology, capable of stopping any known weapon, proved useless against human weaponry. "How?" Marcus screamed as his ships began exploding around him. "You're supposed to be primitives. Your technology is barely Class 3. "We lied," Walker replied calmly. "We've been lying for decades. Every time your scout ships passed through our system, we showed them exactly what they expected to see. A young civilization just reaching for the stars." On the tactical display, Marcus watched in horror as half his fleet vanished in the first wave of attacks. The remaining ships tried to retreat, but found themselves trapped in a quantum gravity web that made hyperspace jumps impossible. "You see, Lord Marcus," Walker continued, "humanity has a long history of warfare. We learned early that appearing weak when you are strong gives you an advantage. While your empire expanded through brute force, we watched and prepared." Marcus slumped in his command chair as more ships exploded around him. "What are you?" "We are humanity. We spent centuries fighting among ourselves before reaching the stars. Each war taught us new lessons. While your empire grew comfortable with its technological superiority, we never stopped innovating, never stopped preparing for threats like you." The remaining Imperial ships hung helpless in space, caught in humanity's invisible web. Walker's voice grew harder. "Your empire has conquered 1,000 peaceful worlds, worlds that couldn't fight back. But now you found an enemy who can, an enemy who has been ready for you for a very long time." In a final desperate move, Marcus ordered his remaining ships to concentrate fire on a single point in the Mars defense grid. The Imperial weapons, powerful enough to crack planets, splashed harmlessly against human shields. "This was just our first line of defense," Walker said. "You have two choices, Lord Marcus. Surrender now, or watch as we demonstrate our offensive capabilities." As emergency alarms blared across his dying fleet, Marcus realized a terrible truth. The Empire hadn't found another primitive species to conquer. They had awakened a sleeping giant. "All Imperial ships," he broadcast, his voice shaking, "stand down. I repeat, stand down." Looking at Walker's image, he asked quietly, "What happens now?" Walker's reply sent chills down his spine. Now we take the fight to your empire. And unlike you, we won't show mercy to the aggressors. General Thomas stood on the bridge of the HSS Redemption, Earth's newest warship, as it emerged from stealth hyperspace near the Imperial core world of Centauri Prime. The ship, despite being larger than anything Earth had previously revealed, remained completely invisible to Imperial sensors. "Status report," he commanded, watching the Imperial Defense Fleet orbit their precious capital world. "All systems nominal, sir," his tactical officer replied. "Our quantum shields are at full power, and the AI battle network is fully synchronized. The other 5 ships in our squad are in position." Thomas allowed himself a small smile. The Empire still hadn't realized that human ships could move through hyperspace while remaining undetected, a technology they had deemed impossible. But then again, most of humanity's arsenal was supposed to be impossible. In the Imperial Palace on Centauri Prime, the Emperor's War Council was in chaos. "How could primitives defeat our fleet?" one admiral shouted, slamming his fist on the table. "Their technology shouldn't be beyond Class 3. The Emperor, hidden behind his traditional veil of light, spoke quietly. "They deceived us. The question is, for how long? And what else are they hiding?" His answer came sooner than expected. General Thomas's voice suddenly filled the council chamber, though no transmission had been detected. "Your Imperial Majesty, I am General Thomas of Earth's Defense Force. Your empire chose war with humanity. Now you will learn what that truly means." Panic erupted as the council realized their most secure chamber had been compromised. The Emperor remained still. "Show yourself, human." "As you wish." A hologram appeared in the center of the room, but unlike the flickering images the Empire used, this one was solid, perfect, and interactive. "This is a small demonstration of our quantum entanglement communication. Distance means nothing to us." The Emperor leaned forward. "Impressive parlor tricks. But our empire spans galaxies. You cannot hope to." "Look up," Thomas interrupted. The council rushed to the windows. Above their capital world, 6 massive ships suddenly appeared, their dark hulls seeming to absorb light rather than reflect it. Each was armed with weapons unlike anything the Empire had ever seen. "Impossible," the War Minister gasped. "Our sensors show nothing." "Your sensors," Thomas explained calmly, "like most of your technology, are based on principles you discovered centuries ago and never improved upon. Humanity never stopped innovating, never stopped preparing." As if to demonstrate his point, one of the human ships fired a single shot at an asteroid near the planet. The massive rock didn't explode. It simply ceased to exist, converted instantly into pure energy that the human ship absorbed. "That," Thomas continued, "was our lowest powered weapon. Would you like to see what our ships can really do?" The Emperor's voice shook slightly. "What do you want?" "Your immediate and unconditional surrender. Your empire attacked us, threatened our people, and tried to enslave us. We're here to ensure that never happens again. And if we refuse..." Thomas's hologram gestured, and suddenly every screen in the palace, every computer, every data terminal lit up with information. "This is your empire's complete military database. We downloaded it 5 minutes ago. Your encryption took our AIs 3 seconds to break." The council members watched in horror as their most closely guarded secrets were displayed before them. But Thomas wasn't finished. Another gesture, and new information appeared. Detailed scans of Imperial worlds, military installations, and secret bases that even most of the council didn't know about. "While you were watching our decoy colonies on Mars," Thomas explained, "our stealth ships were mapping your entire empire. We know every weakness, every vulnerability, every secret you've tried to hide." The Emperor stood slowly. "You could have attacked at any time. Why wait?" "To give you a chance to surrender without bloodshed. Humanity doesn't want to rule your empire or destroy your civilization. We simply want to ensure you never threaten another species again." There was a long silence in the council chamber. Finally, the Emperor spoke. "And if we refuse?" Thomas's hologram began to fade. "Then we'll show you why every weapon in our arsenal, every technology we've revealed, has been nothing but a fraction of what humanity can really do. You have 1 hour to decide." As the hologram vanished, the Emperor turned to his council. "Find out everything you can about human history," he ordered. "We need to know what kind of species can create such power and keep it hidden for so long." Above the planet, General Thomas prepared his fleet. Either way, the Empire would learn today that humanity's warnings should have been heeded. Admiral Walker sat in his office aboard the Earth Defense Station, reviewing the latest reports. On his screen, Imperial soldiers were breaking down, their mental health crumbling as they faced an enemy unlike any they had encountered before. "Play the latest footage from Battle Group 7, he commanded. The screen lit up with images of a human stealth squad systematically dismantling an Imperial base. The soldiers, wearing advanced combat suits that bent light around them, moved like ghosts through the Imperial defenses. They appeared and disappeared at will, striking from impossible angles, their weapons passing through the strongest Imperial shields as if they weren't there. "Sir," Captain Rogers entered the room, holding a data pad. "The psychological warfare campaign is working better than expected. 3 more Imperial battle groups have surrendered without firing a shot." Walker nodded. "How are they responding to the history broadcasts?" "That's the interesting part, sir. After we started broadcasting Earth's military history to their worlds, their command structure began falling apart. They can't understand how a species could survive so many wars and emerge stronger." The Admiral turned to his window, watching Earth's defense fleet in orbit. They've never encountered a species that evolved through conflict. Their empire grew by conquering peaceful worlds that couldn't fight back. On the main screen, reports continued to pour in. Imperial soldiers were experiencing severe trauma from fighting an enemy they couldn't see or predict. Human forces would appear from nowhere, strike with devastating precision, and vanish before the Empire could respond. "Their entire military doctrine is based on overwhelming force," Rogers continued. "They don't know how to handle an enemy that fights from the shadows, that strikes at weak points, that uses their own size against them." Walker pressed a button, bringing up a new display. "Show me the status of Operation Ghost Story." The screen filled with data about human stealth ships infiltrating Imperial supply lines. These vessels, completely undetectable to Imperial sensors, had been systematically disrupting the Empire's logistics for weeks. They never destroyed the supply ships. They simply appeared, disabled their engines, and disappeared, leaving the crews to drift in space until rescue arrived. "The psychological impact is severe," Rogers reported. "Imperial crews are refusing to pilot supply ships. They're terrified of encountering our ghost fleet." "And the broadcast campaign?" "Highly effective. We've been transmitting footage of Earth's greatest military strategists, Sun Tzu, Alexander, Napoleon, along with records of guerrilla warfare, resistance movements, and asymmetric combat. The Empire's military academies are in chaos. Their entire understanding of warfare was based on superior technology and overwhelming force. They can't adapt to human tactics." Walker smiled slightly. "They thought size and technology were all that mattered in war. They never understood that the most dangerous weapon is the mind." A new alert flashed on the screen. An Imperial commander was requesting immediate communication. Walker accepted the transmission. The Imperial officer appeared, his usual aristocratic bearing replaced by obvious stress. "This is Commander Vale of the 3rd Imperial Fleet. We wish to discuss terms of surrender." "Why now, Commander?" Walker asked calmly. "Because we cannot fight an enemy we cannot understand. Your ships appear from nowhere. Your weapons ignore our strongest defenses. But worst of all," he paused, visibly shaken, "worst of all is how you think. Every time we adapt to one of your tactics, you change your entire strategy. It's like fighting shadows." Walker leaned forward. "We tried to warn you, Commander. Humanity spent centuries fighting itself, learning, adapting, evolving. Each war taught us new lessons. While your empire relied on brute force, we learned the art of warfare in all its forms. What do you want from us? Vale asked quietly. The same thing we wanted from the beginning. Peace, but peace on our terms now. Your empire must change. As the transmission ended, Rogers turned to Walker. They're breaking faster than we expected. Sir, fear is a powerful weapon, Captain. And right now, the Empire is learning to fear something worse than defeat. They're learning to fear the unknown. And humanity. Walker turned back to the window, watching his fleet prepare for another strike. Humanity has perfected the art of being the unknown. The secret meeting took place in the undergrounds of New Terra, a recently liberated Imperial colony. Representatives from 30 different alien species sat around a large table, while Admiral Walker stood at its head. Above them, human stealth ships maintained a protective screen that kept them invisible to Imperial sensors. Your worlds don't have to stay under Imperial control, Walker said, his voice carrying across the quiet room. We offer protection to any planet that chooses freedom. An alien leader named Blue Sky, his crystalline skin reflecting the room's light, stood up. But how can you protect so many worlds? The Empire's fleet is vast. Walker touched a control panel, and a hologram appeared above the table. It showed hundreds of human ships, previously invisible, spread across Imperial space. We've been preparing for this moment for decades. While the Empire thought we were just a primitive species with a few colony domes on Mars, we were mapping their territories and positioning our forces. The alien representatives murmured in amazement. One of them, a tall figure named Star Weaver, spoke up. Is it true what we've heard? That human ships can travel through hyperspace while remaining undetected? Yes, Walker replied simply. And that's just one of many technologies we kept hidden. The Empire's greatest weakness was their arrogance. They never imagined that a primitive species could surpass them. A hologram change, showing successful rebellions on various Imperial worlds. Alien resistance fighters, trained and equipped by humans, were using guerrilla tactics to overwhelm Imperial garrisons. The Empire's rigid military structure had no answer for these unconventional attacks. We've been watching the Empire for a long time, Walker continued. We saw how they conquered peaceful worlds, how they crushed any resistance. So we prepared. We developed technologies specifically designed to counter their strengths. But more importantly, we studied their weaknesses. A new alien stepped forward, his metallic scales gleaming. The Empire has ruled through fear for 10,000 years. How did you overcome that fear? Walker smiled. By showing people a greater fear, the fear of remaining slaves. He pressed another button, and the hologram showed Imperial warships surrendering to human forces. The Empire's power was built on intimidation. Once that failed, their control began to crumble. Reports flowed in from across Imperial space. More worlds were declaring independence every day. The Empire's propaganda network, once their strongest tool for control, now worked against them. Stories of human victory spread rapidly, inspiring more rebellions. But their technology. Another representative began. Their technology hasn't evolved in centuries, Walker interrupted. They found a level of advancement they were comfortable with and stopped innovating. Humanity never stops advancing, never stops adapting. He showed them footage of human quantum weapons passing through Imperial shields, of stealth ships appearing from nowhere, of Imperial soldiers retreating in panic from enemies they couldn't even see. The Empire made one crucial mistake, Walker explained. They judged us by their standards. They saw our visible technology and assumed that was all we had. They never considered that we might be hiding our true capabilities. Blue Sky stood again. And now, what happens to our worlds if we join you? You gain Earth's protection, Walker replied. We don't want to rule your worlds. We want to free them. Each planet that joins us becomes part of a new alliance, one based on mutual respect and cooperation, not fear and domination. The representatives looked at each other. Centuries of imperial rule had taught them to be cautious, but the evidence was undeniable. Humanity had done what no other species had managed. They had broken the Empire's power. "There's something else you should know," Walker added. "We've already infiltrated every major imperial world. Our agents are in place. Our ships are positioned. The Empire isn't just losing this war. They've already lost. They just don't know it yet." As if to prove his point, new reports flashed across the hologram. 3 more Imperial fleets had surrendered. The Empire's mighty war machine was falling apart from within, as more and more of its subjects realized that humanity had given them something they'd never had before: hope. "The choice is yours," Walker concluded. "But remember, the Empire chose this war. We're simply ensuring they never make that choice again." The Emperor stood in his war room, watching as the remains of his once mighty fleet gathered for one final battle. 10,000 warships, the largest fleet ever assembled in Imperial history, formed a massive defensive sphere around the Empire's throne world. "This ends today," he declared to his commanders. "We will show these humans the true power of the Empire." But among his generals, fear had replaced their usual confidence. They had seen too many Imperial fleets destroyed by an enemy they couldn't even detect. One of them, General Stone, dared to speak up. "Your Majesty, perhaps we should consider their peace terms. The humans have proven." "Silence," the Emperor roared. "We cannot lose to primitives. This is a trick, an illusion. No species could have hidden such power for so long." At that moment, Admiral Walker's voice filled the chamber, though no transmission had been detected. "This is your final warning, Emperor. Surrender now, or face total defeat." The Emperor laughed bitterly. "You face 10,000 of our best ships. Even your stealth technology cannot save you from such overwhelming force." "You still don't understand," Walker replied calmly. "Everything we've shown you so far has been just a fraction of our capabilities. We tried to warn you from the beginning." Suddenly, space itself seemed to ripple around the Imperial fleet. 5,000 human warships appeared from nowhere, their black hulls absorbing light like floating shadows. But what terrified the Imperial commanders wasn't the ships, it was what they saw inside them. Through the human vessels' transparent sections, they could see that each ship was crewed by only one person, just one human operator, connected to massive arrays of advanced technology. "Impossible," the Emperor whispered. "Where are their crews?" "Allow us to demonstrate humanity's final secret," Walker said. "The reason we don't fear death in battle." On the human ships, the single operators began to glow with strange energy. The Imperial sensors detected massive power surges unlike anything they had ever recorded. A human vessel took a direct hit from an Imperial weapon. Its hull breached, exposing the operator to space. But instead of dying, the human operator's consciousness instantly transferred to a waiting clone body in a protected chamber. Within seconds, the ship was back in combat, its operator alive and fighting with all their previous experience intact. "You see," Walker explained, "death has no meaning for us in battle. We learned to transfer our consciousness decades ago. Each of our ships is operated by a veteran of 1,000 simulated wars who cannot be killed permanently. Every time you destroy one of our bodies, we simply transfer to another and return to the fight." Panic spread through the Imperial fleet as they realized the truth. They weren't fighting against mortal beings. They were facing an enemy that could not be truly killed. The Emperor watched in horror as his ship's weapons proved useless. Even when they managed to destroy a human vessel, its operator would simply reappear in another ship, learning from the previous defeat and fighting even more effectively. "What are you?" the Emperor demanded, his voice shaking. "We are humanity," Walker replied. "We spent centuries dreaming of the stars, preparing for both peace and war. We hoped for peace, but we prepared for war. You chose war. The battle that followed was brief but devastating. The human ships, operated by their immortal crews, moved with impossible precision. Imperial ships fell by the hundreds, then thousands, their mighty weapons useless against an enemy that knew no fear of death. All Imperial forces, the Emperor's voice trembled as he made the transmission. Stand down. I repeat, stand down. He turned to his silent commanders. Contact Earth. Tell them we are ready to discuss their terms. As the massive Imperial fleet powered down their weapons, Admiral Walker's voice came one final time. Remember this day. Remember that we warned you to run, and you chose to fight instead. The galaxy will remember this as the day the Empire learned that humanity's warnings should never be ignored. 1 month after the Empire's surrender, representatives from 1,000 worlds gathered in Earth's newly constructed space assembly. The massive chamber, built using advanced human technology, could hold beings from every known species in comfortable environments suited to their needs. Admiral Walker stood at the central podium, looking out at the gathered representatives. The Emperor sat in the front row, no longer hidden behind his veil of light, looking smaller without his grand robes and imperial decorations. Today marks the beginning of a new era, Walker began. The war is over. Now we must build something better from its ashes. Screens around the chamber displayed the terms of peace. Many of the alien representatives expected harsh punishments, remembering how the Empire had treated defeated worlds. Instead, they saw something very different. Earth does not seek to rule, Walker continued. We propose the formation of a galactic federation, where every world has an equal voice. The Empire's resources will be used to rebuild the worlds they damage, and their technology will be shared with all species. The Emperor stood slowly. After everything we did, after we tried to enslave your world, you offer us mercy. Walker's expression remained calm. We could destroy the Empire completely. Our ships still surround your worlds. Our technology still surpasses yours. But humanity learned long ago that true peace cannot be built on revenge. He pressed a button, and new images appeared on the screens. They showed human ships helping rebuild damaged worlds, human medical technology healing the injured of all species, and human scientists sharing their advances with former imperial worlds. We kept our true power hidden because we hoped it would never be needed, Walker explained. Humanity prepared for war while praying for peace. Now that peace has come, we can finally show you everything we've been developing. One by one, human specialists took the stage. They revealed medical technology that could cure almost any disease, energy systems that could power entire planets without pollution, and transportation networks that could reach the farthest corners of the galaxy in days instead of weeks. All of this, Walker gestured to the displays, will be shared freely. The Empire hoarded knowledge and power. We believe in spreading it. The alien representatives watched in amazement as decades of hidden human innovations were revealed. Technology that could have made humanity the new rulers of the galaxy was instead being offered to all. But why? The Emperor asked. With your power, you could rule everything. Walker smiled. Because ruling through force is what the Empire did. We choose a different path. He turned back to the assembly. Every world will remain free to govern itself. The Federation will exist only to ensure peace, promote trade, and protect the rights of all species. As if to demonstrate this commitment, human ships across the galaxy began powering down their weapons. The mighty fleet that had defeated the Empire was transforming into a peacekeeping force. We have one condition, Walker added, his voice growing serious. Never again will any species be allowed to conquer another. The Federation will maintain a defense force, drawn from all member worlds, to prevent any future empires from rising. The Emperor looked up at the screens, watching as his former empire transformed. You could have conquered us in a day. You had the power all along. Why did you wait? Because every species deserves a chance to choose peace, Walker replied. We warned you to run because we didn't want to fight. When you forced our hand, we showed you only what was necessary to end the war quickly. As the Assembly voted unanimously to form the new Federation, Walker made one final address. Let the galaxy remember this lesson. Humanity hid its strength not out of fear, but out of hope. We developed our power not to conquer, but to protect. And now, finally, we can use our technology for its true purpose, to help all species reach their full potential. The Emperor, now just one representative among many, realized the truth at last. Humanity's greatest power hadn't been their advanced technology, their stealth ships, or even their immortal soldiers. It had been their capacity for mercy.